Good morning, bedheads and spirit seekers. Click. I'm Karen from Ask the Spirit Guides. This is Coffee with Karen. So today, I'm inspired as always, actually, to talk about something that somebody in the comments had brought up, somebody from the community had brought up. And it's such a good point that I thought, oh, it would be worth having a full conversation about this. Because I've said the same thing through many times in my life. And it's just because now that I'm facilitating this community, it's forcing me to look at spirituality a little bit differently, which I'm really enjoying. And then not only that, but I'm reading all of, everybody else's perspective on things. And it's just really helping me grow. And I think it's in because we're being challenged, like our thoughts are being challenged, the way we've always seen things are being challenged in a positive way. And so, which is really, it's really where the growth comes from. But so yesterday, Coffee with Karen, I was talking about, how, let's get our flashlight, basically see yourself as a flashlight and just, I had this image of us like shining our lights, like literally pretend like you're a giant or something and taking your flashlight and putting your flashlight over areas that you would like to know the truth about or something, and my examples was Mar-a-Lago, like, shine the light on it so that because things can't stay in the dark if there's light on it, right? And so that was one example. So somebody had said, okay, so it was DC Sparkle 4783. So thank you so much for posting this. Okay. So if we expose what is going on with our light, then what? Meaning like if I think what that means is if I'm wait, will we undo the I think I was just reading the next sentence. It's funny. I think this first part, which is actually not the part that I was even paying attention to, but now I'm interested in seeing what that says. So if we see or expose something, okay, so basically like, well, if we're shining the light and something's exposed, okay, basically like, what do you do then? You know what I mean? So, so basically this person said, we will be under the new administration from hell. Okay, that's what I was laughing about. I really do not mean to be a drag or snotty about this, but which is totally, you guys, that's what I love. I love that. You're offering a new perspective. You're asking questions that are hard. I don't have the answers to things. I'm just throwing stuff out there. And I love that you guys are giving new perspectives, right? So, but what would be the next step after shining the light? What's the next step after shining the light? It's like, well, if we're going to just keep our lights, so this is a person who is like, I think action is necessary. And I totally get that. That administration is not going to give a rip about the truth. Will they even listen to the people who do? Or is the idea that the spirits, cosmos invoked by all this light aid in healing the situation, people, animals, nature, right? So first, I would love to hear what you think about that. So it's a really good question because it's like, well, I totally 1000% agree that this administration does not give a rip about the truth. They're so obviously not telling us. I mean, they're just like, they're not telling us the truth ever. It's just amazing. I've never seen anything like it. It's so, but if you noticed, it's so exposed. It's so exposed. Like they're not even, trying to keep anything hidden anymore, which is fascinating. And there's a reason for that. There's definitely a reason for that, which I've talked about in other videos. I was thinking, how far do I want to go into that right now? But I don't. Okay. So this is what I responded. And 3 months ago, I wouldn't have responded this way. So that's what I'm saying in terms of where I'm at with my spiritual growth. And you can let me know like how, okay, so think about it before I give you my response. Okay. When someone's saying, yeah, I can shine my light all there is, I'll definitely do that. But, since this administration ain't going to care, like who's going to do anything about it, basically, right? Who's going to do anything about it if I keep my light shining? Okay. And then like, what does that person do? Like, we just keep shining our light and don't do anything? Okay. So think about that for a second. And if you don't mind, I would love to hear your response. So if you want to think about it for a sec and respond, then hit pause, and it will be really helpful for the community to hear what everybody has to say about that. Okay? Because then I'm going to read my response, and I don't want it to muddle what other people would want or what's coming in your heart to say, basically. And I did choose this mug for a reason today. So this one hasn't, look, I'm holding it backwards because it's not on both sides. This is this is a little antique-y one. I don't know when it was. Oh, it might have the date on it. I'll have to look once the coffee's gone. Okay. So my response, I said, it's a great question. And I said, my best guidance is that next steps will be different for everyone. If you stay in the light, it's much easier to hear your inner guidance. And this kind of applies to all parts of our lives. This is how I feel right now. If you stay in the light, okay, so if you stay in the light, it's much easier to hear your inner guidance. Then when you are inspired by an idea, action step, etc., it's time to move. We need to trust that we'll each move together, but in the way that each of our own guides are guiding us. So the first action step is to take care of ourselves, so we can hear and respond when we are called to. And then I said, does that make sense? So that is kind of where my head is right now in all the spiritual growth I've experienced in the last couple months. Is that's kind of where I've come to. And, we have to take care of ourselves. Okay. And at first it's really interesting because I don't know, a month or two ago, maybe a month ago, when I started hearing channelers, the guides, Archangel Raphael, I listened to a channeler who channels Archangel Raphael. I listened to a channeler who listened, the Galactic of Nine or something. I don't know. There's different ones. Okay. And they kept saying self-care, 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 which at the time was really annoying to me. I was like, that self-care is not going to do anything. And I think I kind of felt the way this person did. Yeah, I did. It's like, okay, well, all right, the light, whoopee, like, okay, shine the light, like, what's that going to do, And now I can fully embody like an understanding of what the self-care message was all about. And I really think that's it. Like the more I explore on the channel here with you guys, how to tap into our own intuition to find our own answers, which is the goal of this channel, is that we don't look for answers outside of ourselves, okay? Is that the more you take care of yourself, okay, the more you live in a happy space, the more you don't let anything break your stride, okay? The more positive you can stay, the more healthy you can stay. Everything. The more financially fit you stay, because then you're not worrying about stuff, right? All these things. If you don't have the basic needs met for living on Earth, clothing, shelter, water, food, okay? If you don't have those things, then that's your priority. That's your priority, okay? So all of us are going to be in very different places, and we have to allow everybody to act from the place they're at. So then if you have your basic needs met, and it's the hierarchy, so I'm only doing it this way. I'm not saying you're better or we're better or anything like that, but then you can, and then the challenge is the more, so if you're down here not having your basic, not down here, sorry, I don't really want it to be like levels, but on Maslow's hierarchy, it's at the bottom. It's at the bottom, I think. Yeah, it's right. Or I don't know. I don't remember. It's okay. We don't need to get into Maslow, but so if you don't have your basic needs met, the focus is going to be there. There's just no doubt about it, which is exactly why or how a lot of people voted. It's because of their basic needs, and being told that their basic needs would be changed, like it would change, because they were pretty much lied to, and it's already been discovered that they were lied to. But we'll see. I mean, who knows? We'll see what happens. But once you have that, well, then you go to the next layer. It's like, a lot of people are not financially secure, So it's just, what are the things that are bothering you right now? What are the things that you need to cleanse from your brain, And because I'm spending so much time, because I am retired, so I don't have to go out of the house and deal with politics in the workplace and all that kind of stuff anymore, which I will always remember what that's like. So people, you've got to do those things. You've got, you have to take care of yourself every day to deal with those things, right? So if you're retired, which there's a pretty good chunk of people who are on this channel who are retired, yay for us. We have the time and the energy to, first of all, we can sleep as long as we want to. If you can sleep, we can take care of ourselves differently, So everybody's in a different place, right? So that's why we're in a different place to take care of ourselves. So you need to take care of yourself so that you can hear your inner guidance. And your inner guidance, you will be led by yeses and nos, okay? Excuse me, this just came up. In the spring, I met with somebody who is an expert in human design, okay? Human design, I think, I haven't looked into it yet, but I think it's the same thing as like birth charts and stuff. It was amazing. Like there's a chart, I'm looking at it right now, like a chart and a body and all these little, little half lines, and I don't know, it's just amazing. It's based on the day you were born, the time you were born, and the place you were born. So unless there was somebody at the hospital the day I was born, at that hospital, at the exact time I was born, though just that few of us would have the exact human design. Otherwise, everybody else, there's nobody. If you were born in a small hospital like my husband was, and he knows, actually, I asked him last night, he's like, nobody was born the same time I was, or even on the same day, because there was nobody in his class that had the same birthday as he did, because that's how small the town was, okay? Now, could somebody have been born at that hospital and gone to a town? Probably, possibly. Yeah, I'm sure there was. We didn't even kind of go there, but I'm sure they didn't all live in the immediate vicinity, because this was a small town with a hospital. So I'm sure there was people. Anyways, there might have been maybe another one, but was that baby born at the exactly same time? I mean, and if there was, then there's, okay, one other person with his exact human design. Isn't that amazing? That's how many, there's 8 billion people in the world, and how many of us have the exact human design? Not very many. That's how many ways to approach the world there are. And part of my human design, and actually this is like 66%, she said 66% of the population are it's called generators. Now I'm an emotional, there's manifesting generators and emotional generators, and I'm an emotional generator. And one of the ways she said, what's really important for generators, and so this is going to be helpful for a lot of people because since 66% of us are generators, I think it was generators in general who do this, not just who need to do this with decision making, not just emotional. I don't think it was just emotional generators. But if somebody knows about this, you can add whatever you want in the comments because I'm just learning about it. I did this in April for my birthday, and then I haven't listened to it since. It's January. So my birthday's in March, but I did it in April of January. I'm an Aries, in case anybody else is Aries. Whoop, whoop. Everybody knows that because I'm always like, I'm a fiery Aries, you know. So anyway, so I finally started listening to it yesterday in January. So like she did the overview with me, but nothing sunk in. And I decided, since I now have my bullet journal that I've been showing you guys over the last couple of days, because now I can index things and find things. I love the bullet journal. So I have a section now called Stuff About Me. And this page is about the human design reading I had. And now I can see everything at a glance. Like I'm listening to the video now. I recorded. Thank goodness I recorded with her. At first we weren't recording. I'm like, no, we need to record this or I'll never remember anything. So, and then I actually, on my birthday, I did a psychic reading. That's a weird story, but maybe I'll tell it at the end. Okay, if I remember. You know how that goes. So the generators, basically, when I re-listened to this, I thought, oh my gosh, it's so me, you know, is that, well, basically, which is kind of interesting. So again, 33% of us, or 66% of us, our aura, we have a 6-foot aura around us. Okay, 6 feet out. Okay. And so then our aura draws things to us through yeses and nos, through our yeses and nos. Okay. So the aura basically is responding. This is the manifesting part of your life, I think. The aura is responding to what you say yes to and what you say no to. So if you say, or, you know, and it's not just, you know, you don't go through your whole life going, yes, no, yes, no. It's how you're saying things, you know. Positive is a yes and negative is a no. So how you're saying things too. So your aura is out there, you know, then again, I don't really know I have to think about this more because I'm just learning this. So, is kind of that's all I can say right now. I'm not sure how it's working, but responding to the yeses and the nos. Okay. So generators there's like, well, especially emotional generators. Okay. If you find if you tend to make a knee-jerk reaction, like you give a yes or a no, but then like 2 days later, you're like, oh, why did I decide that? I wish I wouldn't have told them that. I got to change my mind, you know. I think it is emotional generators that need time. There's like a wave of decision making, she said. It literally is an energetic wave of decision making, okay? That energetic wave, you have to basically look at any decision from all angles. So that's why you need a couple days. You need to sleep on it. You should always say, okay, I'm going to sleep on it. I'll let you know, you know, because then you will go through this wave of decision making and you will need to ride the wave in order for you to make the right decision for you. And I'm going to come back to the beginning of like, well, what do I do next if I'm shining my light, right? So you're shining your light on the world, your life is you basically taking care of yourself. Okay. So think of your flashlight. You can visually think of it as well because it's beautiful and, you know, but it really is shine the light on you because if you shine the light on yourself, then the dark parts of you can't stay hidden. So you are shining the light on yourself as well. And that's actually more important than shining the light everywhere else. And this is just coming to me now. So I hope people stuck around to 20 minutes because, that's where usually the magic begins. This is the flow of consciousness. You got to wait. You got to wait a little bit until I finally get going. So I think we need to shine the light on ourselves so that we can see our truths, so that the more you then live from that place of truth, honesty, authenticity, then the world can. Okay, then your light, you don't even have to purposely visualize. Why would you have to visualize your light if you're living in the light? And that's what, why would you have to do that? You wouldn't have to. You're beaming the light anyways. You are beaming the light. You don't even have to visualize it. I think my guides are just telling you that right now. I mean, you really don't. And, yesterday we did a live with the SGs. And one of the questions, the first question was, and actually we asked this the last 2 weeks in the live, would mass meditation help? And I think, and they said both times no. And it's no, I think the question was, should we do mass meditation? And they said no. And I think it's because they're like, each of us, you take care of yourself. You deal with, if you're at work listening to this or on your way home from work and you had a hard day, your focus is to shine the light on yourself, focus on yourself, because take care of yourself. Then you can take care of the people around you. You can encourage them to take care of themselves. Then they can encourage the people around them to take care of themselves. Bump, 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 right? But when we don't do that, when people are not taking care of themselves, that's when you see alcoholism, abuse, because people are angry. They're not shining the light on themselves at all. They're using things, I almost put my mug up my coffee. If you're only listening to this, you didn't get to see that, my look on my face, like, I slept really good last night. There's no reason for coffee, really, but it just tastes good. So, yeah, I feel like I just went ding, 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 ding. I mean, this whole thing, it's, I love the idea of because I think it helps us cope, like shining the light on things outside of ourselves, to hope they get to the truth and just be, but it's really also, it first needs to be shown on you. You first need to shine the light on yourself. Okay. I think I'm going to look I wonder if we can get a little charm, a flashlight charm. My sister, did I ask for, oh yeah, I think I did, Cammie, ask you for a flashlight charm. She's doing shrinky dinks. Oh, I actually bought some shrinky dinks myself, but I still want them from my sister. It'll be fun to do some for myself and then, have both of them hanging from So anyways, shrinky dinks, you guys, if you haven't done them for a while, let's do it. Shrinky dinks. It's kind of fun. So back to this emotional decision making, okay? Or the generator decision maker, the way you make decisions. So if something and if you sat on it, again, if you've sat on it and each angle that you're thinking of a decision, if each wave of that, I think she called it emotional wave. It's an emotional wave that literally physically goes through you or around you or, which is fascinating, that if each part of that wave or each angle you look at for making that decision is a yes, then you can trust that that's a yes. Okay. If you go yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, she said, for me, because of my human design, now it might be a little different for other people. For me, it should be a no. Okay. But how many times have I followed, if I've gone yes, no, okay, but I should, So then you end up in the should area. And then if you say yes, when you should have said no, you're not following your inner guidance You're following the rules of society. You're following, the guilt that your parents have put upon you or religion has put upon you. And so if we understood, if in school every child was taught their human design and to live by their human design, how fascinating would that be for society? When we get to the fifth dimension, according to Diana Cooper, which we are going to be reading very, very soon, once all this debacle stuff is, just once we get through this period of time, it's just a little different right now. And then we'll be able to start focusing on other things, which will be beautiful, hopefully. We're still going to have drama and have to process, but so, if everybody just learned their birth chart, their human design, their astrology, if that's what we taught, and in fact, okay, so every adult listening to this right now, if you have grandchildren, you could learn it for yourself right now, and then you could teach you could actually have your grandchildren or your children get there, so we could start, we obviously are not going to be able to rely on schools to do it. So parents are going to need to do it. Grandparents are going to need to do it, so that and then if people can learn about their personality type too, the more people can learn about themselves to live authentically. And then you guys have we have conversations about it. So if I understood because my husband and I we're the only immediate family, the two of us, we don't have children I have a lot of nieces, nephews, and siblings, and greats now, but they're not it's my nuclear family basically. So if you, at least in your nuclear family, learned more and more about each other by doing these things together, learning, think of how much healing you could do because you would accept each other more. You would accept each other if you understood their soul contract more. And this human design or birth charts, that is somebody had mentioned that in the comments, that is it's got to be part of your soul contract because you were born at that specific time, at that specific place, at that specific day for that particular way to bring and come into the world. That has to be a part of your soul contract. I will say 100% it has to be. So we are pulling questions, you guys, for soul contracts, by the way. It's on the community tab if you want to ask. If you've ever asked questions in the channel about soul contracts, we've grabbed them. So, but I just did a call out because I want to do a specific episode with the SGs on soul contracts, whatever you guys have questions about. So yeah, so if I was taught this a long time ago, how I would have, there's so many things I would have said no to. In fact, this helped me make a decision about something coming up in the near future. And, I've been a yes and a no. I've been going yes and no, yes and no. And I'm pretty sure now, because I know this, I need to say no to it. Because that's my higher self is telling me that's not the place for you right now. You know what I mean? That's not the decision that you should be making. But how many times do we do that? And then we get off our path a little bit and we have to come back to center. So if we followed whatever our human design was telling us to follow, we would stay centered. We would stay on center and we would know what to do next. Okay. So coming back full circle to this conversation, you shine the light on yourself. It helps you take care of yourself. Your inner guidance gives you your next steps. And you trust them because you know yourself. You trust them. That's it. It's as simple as that. It really is. And we complicate it. But and then we look at each other and we judge each other because they're not doing what we think everybody should be doing and blah, 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 blah. Well, that's because their birth chart, their human design, their personality type is the way they were raised, completely 1,000% different. 1,000,000,000% different, So that's why the focus is on the self. It's not selfish. In fact, I think that was part of the person said it feels selfish. Somebody else had said it feels selfish, to just focus on ourselves. But this is why it's actually the complete opposite. It's actually selfish for us to not focus on ourselves. because you're focused on everybody else then. And that doesn't, you're not doing what you were brought here to do. If you don't focus on yourself, I mean, I wish I would have had this message when I was 20. Maybe instinctively I knew that a little bit, but boy, would I, if I was 20, if you're 20 right now and you're listening to this, boy, this is where I would be focusing. Because your next 50, 60 years could be really glorious if you could unshed all of what I'm talking about here, and understanding your human design and understanding your birth chart. And so there's a member of the community who emailed me, and I think it's Vale. I don't know. I emailed with a few people yesterday. So one of them was Vale. Hi, Vale. Who asked like if I'd be interested in having my birth chart. She'd be happy to do my birth chart. And so I'm wondering if it is the human design, but I still would like to see that, because then I can compare and see maybe that's a different process. But because then I would the more I understand this, the more I'm going to bring to the community, so that we can and in the spirit circle at some point in the next year, I'm going to start bringing in people into the spirit circle. So if you're paying the small monthly fee, you'll get some special, it won't cost you anything more to have some experts come in and talk about certain things, things that you guys are interested in. It's just, we're getting our footing down and exploring like who these people are and all that kind of stuff. So just so we can continue learning more about ourselves. So yeah, if I was in my 20s right now, this would be amazing. I mean, I literally heard about human design, birth charts, when I turned 55. That's the first time I heard about it. I mean, my spiritual journey has been going on since I've been in my teens, but I've never heard about human design before. I might have, but it never, it wasn't right for me at the time. So it was right for me right now, so then, that's the way it is. So anyways, hopefully I answered the question about, hopefully that was clear. I mean, it really is that simple. We take care of ourselves. And because we're taking care of ourselves, we can hear, we know what's right for us. We trust that when we are inspired, it's really that simple. If you wake up in the morning, you're inspired if you're inspired to order some shrinky dinks, then order some shrinky dinks. If you're like, oh, I can't do shrinky dinks. Like, I don't know. It's not can't do them. I just have no desire to do shrinky dinks. Like when I said shrinky dinks, if you got a little whoop, then order some shrinky dinks for yourself. And then I actually found a kit. I'll link it below. I think they're here. I think they got delivered. Yeah, I think a little kit it's going to be cute. But if you're like shrinky dinks, no, I'd rather read a book or whatever. You know what I mean? Then don't do shrinky dinks, But the people who are inspired, you have to let them be inspired by that, because there's something about that creativity or using that's going to spark the next thing. It's the next thing for them. Okay. You reading the book instead is going to spark the next thing for you. Okay. This is why I can't even, now that I'm thinking about this, the fact that we judge anybody, it's just ridiculous. We waste so much time and energy, you guys, trying to get the world to be like us, trying to get the world to view things the way we view them. And yes, you can go as far as, where I'm going with all the political stuff. I mean, narcissism and all that. I mean, it's just, but they've got birth charts too, and they've got guidance, and they may not be following their guidance. And we have to let them not follow their guidance, because that's their thing to deal with. They're going to have to deal with that. And yes, do they rub up against us? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Do they have to? No, not if you turn stuff off. They don't have to rub up against you. If if you are at risk of something that their policies are going to change and it's going to come, I always say, come knocking on your door, then you have to deal with it. But do you have to deal with it until then? No. What you have to deal with is taking care of yourself and not letting anything break your stride, you know? Boy, would I like to sing things, but I can't sing stuff on here or you get copyright strikes. Which makes sense, you know? It's not my song to sing. So, yeah, that's all I gotta say for today. Monday. Oh, I was going to tell you about my psychic. Okay, so that's that topic over. So I'll tell you about my psychic experience on my birthday. And that although I do have a recording of it, and that's after I'm done listening to my human design, I'm going to listen to that recording because I haven't listened to it since, but I'll tell you the one thing. So this was my birthday's on March 30th. Okay. And so on March 30th, I went to a store in town where I live, well, close to, and it was like a rock shop. I thought, you know, my husband and I don't do gifts. I mean, if I want something, I buy it. I mean, you know, a long time ago, I was like, you know, he does, you know, why put the pressure on each other? And then we'd always end up returning stuff and, you know, whatever. So we just don't do that. So we're like, well, you know, we just spend time together. And, you know, so he's like, what do you want to do today? And I was like, oh, maybe I'll go to the crystal shop and, you know, just buy something. I have not gone there for a long time. Okay. I haven't been into the spirituality stuff for a while. I just hadn't been. And so I went on my birthday, 55, and I got inspired. I bought a little pack of crystals, I think. But there happened to be a psychic. They have psychics there, and they had a schedule. And there happened to be one time open, like the next hour that I was there. So I'm like, oh, I'll treat myself to a psychic reading. And it was a tarot reading, actually. I had and now I understand it better. But so that's why I want to go back and look at it and record, because I recorded it. And she basically said that I am meant to be a facilitator, which I always knew. I was like, oh yeah, but it was about going forward, like facilitating. And I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do that. I had another business where we still sell planners and stuff on Etsy, which if you want to take a look at them, our links are below. But I was running that business, but I could tell I was coming to the end of it. This was last March 2024. So I could tell I was coming to the end of it in terms of energy. I could just tell I was. And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do next. And I'm retired. So I was like, but I still want to do something, you know? And I do like, you know, I like doing things that might, you know, not help, but just like be a part of something, you know, create things for other people. I like to do that. And anyway, so the whole message was you're meant to be facilitating. You need to be facilitating. So when I just thought of that recently, I said to my husband, I'm like, I can't believe that, because the word I've been using on this channel since I started it in October was facilitator. And it wasn't because of what she said, but I was like, my choice is to facilitate this community, not be the leader of the community. I want to facilitate it because I don't know none of us, nobody, you know, I want everybody to find their own answers, basically. And I want to just throw things out there for people from my own perspective and say, now, how does this feel for you? So that feels really good to me. That's why I wanted to facilitate this. But now that I'm looking back at March, I'm like, that is so weird. That's just so weird. And who knew? Because it literally took me from March until October to like, I literally, well, you know, I did other things like, you know, exercised and went outside. It was summer and, you know, but otherwise I was watching YouTube, just like I was going from like one subject on YouTube to the next. You know how when you would start watching one thing, then you get bombarded. And then I was like, okay, I'm over that. And then, first it started with travel. Like, should we do full-time travel? Should we like sell our place, do full-time travel? I got into that. And each time I got into it, I was like, yeah, we're doing that. And then each time my husband's like, no, we're not. Oh, it was pretty funny. I mean, I literally went through this like every month. I was like, we should do it this way. No, we should not. And so, and then the last thing I stumbled upon were tarot readers online. I'd never seen anybody doing tarot readers, or I've never seen tarot readers online. I never watched YouTube ever. I was on YouTube for the last 4 years doing business, like I was talking about business and selling digital products on Etsy, like teaching people how to do that. And none of those videos are on there anymore. I took them all off. But actually, this channel turned into that. So I took those videos off, and then I started making new videos and changed the name. So, what was I going to say? Oh my God, I totally drew a blank. I started thinking about those business. What was I talking about? I hate when that happens. Hang on a second. Okay, my brain found it. So I started watching the tarot readers. That was like the last of my pockets of things that I stumbled upon. And it was like early October. And I'm like, oh, this is fascinating. And well, okay, so not only that, it was probably like September, October, because I really started getting into the election stuff more than I've ever done before. And especially when Harris started, then I was watching everything about the election. How can I, and so I was really active in supporting Harris, basically, more than I've ever been before. Like standing literally the week before, standing out on our street in costume, holding signs up. Like I've never done that before. So, but I had the time, and that was what I was inspired to do. So I just kind of followed my inspiration all summer, but nothing ever landed, like nothing ever, So I started watching the tarot readers about the election, because it was fascinating. And then I thought, I wonder if anybody's on here doing dowsing rods, because I'd been using my dowsing rods for like 8 years. And now remember, now in March on my birthday, I started kind of reconnecting my spirituality again. And I'd always been using the SGs, we've always been having conversations, but so I saw one person on there, and so who was doing it, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. So the tarot readers are the ones, because I got to see how they interacted with their audiences, what the kind of rules were. And then I decided, one day I woke up, it was like on a Saturday, I'm like, oh, I should just do a video. Now, I had been used to doing videos, so it wasn't like I had to start fresh and, whatever. I was comfortable being on camera, let's just say, but not with the SGs. Not with the SGs at all. But I thought, okay, I'm just going to go on and we're going to do a question answer with the SGs. And it just blew up. Like people are, and of course it was about the election. So of course it blew up. But I didn't expect it to. Like, I just thought, well, this would be fun. I'm just going to see what happens. So then, long story short, boom, here we are today. So I've really had to, so this channel is really only the end of October. I think my first video was like October 27th or something. So it's, we're still learning, like, and every, just figuring out, the whole time, the entire time, I've had the pleasure and the space to follow my intuition the entire time. I don't plan any of these Coffee with Karens. I wake up and what I'm inspired to talk about that day is what I talk about. So it's a beautiful place to live from, is just following my intuition, which is then to me trusting that my guidance is telling me where to go with this, right? So that's kind of, I feel like I got purple in my eyes. That's probably from TV. My TV's on in front of me. I'm like, why are my glasses purple? There we go. It's a little dark in here today, isn't it? It was brighter, but now it got a little dark. Yeah. So anyways, it's, and so that's why maybe this is happening for me as facilitator because I have the time and the space to really follow my intuition. And, like my intuition this week with the live this week, I was like, we are not talking about politics. It's not where, like, my intuition, my spirit guides were telling me this is not a good place for people to be answering questions about that. That's why the topic was spirituality. We got a little in there, but that's okay. But my intuition was like, I'm not doing stuff on this channel based on the algorithm. It just happens to be. So because I'm following my intuition and I'm following the guidance of my spirit guides, look at how many subscribers we have. I mean, that's a perfect example. That's never happened to me before in my life. Like that's, but this is the first time 100% I'm following my inner guidance. So can you imagine if we all did that? This is what your life would look like. You'd have, and it's just the impact, right? It's not, you wouldn't necessarily be on YouTube or whatever. You might be, but you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. You would have, that's how much impact. And I'm not saying I'm being humble about this. I'm not saying that I'm having a huge impact, but I'm just saying like, I'm just so, it feels so good, like to be living in this space, and how it all came together was incredible. That's another, I've told this story before, but for those who haven't heard it, and since it's getting a little long, I'll try to be quick. But so after I started then, like a week later, because I got such a response and I needed help, there's so many comments and so many questions, and I was doing question, answer every night or 3 times a week or something, that I needed help doing that. So my sister, Marcia, happened to be needing, she was just about, I mean, she's retired, but she was at a phase in her life where she was like, I don't know, maybe there's something I should be doing. I'm a little bored. She's taking care of her grands and, spending time with the family, which is great. But she just felt like intellectually she wanted something. Okay. And so I was like, hey, you want to help me with these questions? And she's like, yeah. So she started doing that. And then, I don't know, like a month later, we needed something else. We needed, so my nephew, her son, Lob, was in a space where he was ready for something else. And the space that he was ready for was what we needed on the channel. And so there's 3 of us, and that the number on this for us is 333 because after our mom died, I've always seen 333. And so that's been a big thing. And so now there's 3 of us, and we always think, so that somehow, and that came together like that. And the way that the 3 of us are interacting, it's just so natural. There's everybody, it fits into their role perfectly. It's just flowing like it, and we're each bringing what our human design is meant to bring to that. And respecting each of, it's just incredible. So if this is just an example of where we can all get to, if we are allowed the time and the space to take care of ourselves, to understand ourselves, and then the 3 of us are shining our lights very bright right now because we are doing what we are called to do right now. And so that's really the whole premise of this, I think, Yeah, it's very interesting. It's very fun to think about. And so think about your own life right now and how are you, what no's are you answering that you should let go of, and follow your yeses. How are you going to start following your yeses going forward here? What more do you need to learn about yourself? We always have to learn something. Every stage of the, as we get older, every stage. Okay, well, anyway, so since Monday, there's really nothing. This is my joke. Obviously, I'm making a joke out of it, but I have a short that says, there's nothing going on Monday, January 20th. So, except for Martin Luther King Day, which is amazing. So on Monday at 11 a.m., because there's nothing going on, we're going live with the SGs, and you guys can ask. We're going to pull in Martin Luther King Jr. I've already asked the SGs if we could do that. And we're going to ask Martin Luther King Jr. questions to celebrate him and his time on Earth. So, yeah, so it'll be live. And I know some people will be at work and stuff, but you can watch it later. If you have questions for Martin Luther King Jr., you can list them here. We can add them. And yeah, so if you're looking for something to do on Monday because, there's just nothing going on, then, and, we're taking care of ourselves, and that would be a kind of a fun thing to do. So, all right, I'll see you later. Maybe tonight, let's see, what am I doing tonight? Like an angel card reading, I think. I don't know. We'll see what my intuition tells me to do. So, all right, have a good one. Bye-bye.